Hi everybody, it's Susan from Sunrise Quilt Studio, and today I am working on the Dresden Plate Quilt, and I am trying to come up with some quilting ideas for this top. This is one with the 1920s Dresden plates, and I want to do feathers, and I've got these plates set in an alternating set as far as the blocks are offset from each other, so they aren't in straight rows. So that gives me some challenges to work with, and I just want to show you some of the things that I'm thinking of and kind of show you my thought process as I go through this. Okay, I've got the quilt laid out on my 6-foot table. I want to see if that will give me a little more working area. I have a piece of vinyl laid over top, and I'm trying to keep it from dragging the floor, so I've got it kind of bunched up over the side here. I've got a bunch of dry erase markers, and I also pulled out a quilt that I did a while back. Let's see what their label is. 2017. So I did this one 2 years ago or so, and this is a Bethlehem star, and this was, I believe, a 1930s stars. These were, it was kind of like the Dresden plate. I bought the stars and then appliqued them to a background. Now these are set in a straight set, so it's block against block. They're not in an offset position. And with these feathers, what I did was I did a variation of a feather wreath, and I'll give you a closer shot of this here in a moment. But instead of looking at this top as here is the block, and I'm going to do all the quilting within those borders related to the block, I kind of went through, okay, here's a big space here, but this space incorporates corners of 4 different blocks, and then there's a space here, and this incorporates a section of this block and a section of this block. So I ignored the borders that were naturally there from the edges of the block, which is what I'm thinking of doing with the Dresden Plate Quilt. So let me show you a little closer the feather design here, and this is more of a whimsical feather. It isn't formal. It's got feathers kind of going in all different directions. So I know it's hard to see white on white, but let's see if I can point out some of this to you. Here is the circle of the feather wreath, and then these feathers going inside are all you know, pretty typical, other than they have a hook in every other feather. And then I have a swirl that fills up just the center space. Now the feathers on the outside, what I did was I would start doing my feathers and doing a curl in every other one, and coming around the top of the one with a curl. And then when I get far enough where the feathers are starting to get to lay down, then I would turn the feathers and turn them in a different direction. And it's like these are all going to my left where I'm standing. These feathers I had go to the right, and so I did a little hook feather, a basic feather, a hook feather, and a basic feather, and a hook feather, and a basic feather. And then I came down this stem, and then I go and start the next set of feathers, and I had this set of feathers meet this one, so they're both going this like this. So I did that all the way around the circle that I had quilted in here. And for the space here, I did a spin feather with the curl on the inside. It came out and started with the feathers, and I did a hook feather every other feather on this, but they're all going in the same direction. I didn't flip them like I did the feathers in this block. So this gives it a more whimsical look. It's not quite as formal. And for the stars, I just did a continuous curve in each one of the diamonds in the star. And then the inner border has a little floral design, and then I just did piano keys in the outer border. So I kept it fairly simple there. So I'm this is the closest thing to what I have in this as far as ignoring the background. Now, I don't have to ignore the background in this quilt. I can certainly keep my design within the border and of the blocks, and I may do that. I haven't decided yet because it's going to be a little challenging to keep a consistent look in this background, so I haven't quite figured out what I'm going to do. Okay, here's my first run at playing with the design, and in this design I'm just leaving the borders as they are and actually using them to be the guidelines for my quilting. So I started just a feather right off of the plates and just went around, and I did almost a half a block here and just did, you know, about a quarter of each of the other blocks. And that's kind of what that design would look like if I just did feathers all the way around each one of the plates, and that's all I did. And I'm not real thrilled with that. It's just kind of messy looking. And I did draw this fast, so it is messy, but it just is too chaotic, I think. There's no, I don't know, I just don't like it. So I'm going to try something else. So I'm going to go ahead and wipe this off and then try something else. Now, if you ever had trouble coming up with designs like I am now, just try something that you're familiar with and see what it looks like. Draw it out like this on plastic or on paper, and it'll kind of help jumpstart you into trying new things. So just doing this and looking at it gave me an idea for another design. So I'm going to draw that one out and then show it to you. So I will get right back to you as soon as I have that one halfway worked out. Okay, here's the next design idea. And with this one, what I did was I drew an arc for the feather spine here, and then drew myself a guide mark here, which this straight line here would not be quilted in. But then I went ahead and did feathers around that, and I did it on these two corners, and the corner of this one and the corner of that one. Now that one looks a little better to me. I'm still not certain that's what I'm going to go for, but it is giving me better vibes. I feel better about this one than I did the other one. It looks more formal than what I had done before, and I kind of like it. So I'm going to keep that one in mind, and I'm going to go ahead and take a photograph with my phone of that because it is an option for a design idea. And then I'll just go and erase that, and then I will choose a different design and just keep going until I run out of ideas. Okay, here's another design. I decided instead of doing the curve like this, that I would reverse it and go up towards the point of the block, and then do a feather just on the outside and do some curved cross hatching on the inside. So let me redraw this one for you. I think you can see this one here, but that may be upside down. So let me redraw these two and see if you can see where I'm going with this. I like this one too, as well as the last one, but I'm going to start in the point, and we're going to come down in a gentle arc, and this is like the center point of the side here. And then I'm going to go ahead and kind of double that up. I don't know exactly how thick I'll make that, but then we're going to start with a feather here on the end, and this feather needs to kind of point towards the corner, and then I'll just build the feathers up from there. And there'll be a teardrop here on the end, so we'll do the same here. And what I will probably do is do a 1/4 inch inside the seam line. Like here I can see the seam ends right there where I've stopped my feathers, and I will probably use that as a guideline. Now for the curved crosshatch, I'm going to follow the curve of the arc going both directions, and I don't know if I'll do this 1/2 inch or 1/4 inch. I haven't made any of those kinds of decisions yet. I probably will start out 1/2 inch. If I think it needs more, then I'll do 1/4, but I'm not really wanting to get this. If I do this design, it's going to be involved and it's going to take a while, and if I do it 1/4 inch, it's going to just add that much more time to it. I'm not certain that's what I want to do. So here we go again. I'm going to go to the halfway point with the curve and kind of blend this in right here, if you can see what I mean by that. And there will be a teardrop at the end, and then this first feather will have to come out like that, and then I'll build the other feathers on top. And the same on this side. And then we'll do the curved crosshatch. Now a lot of this curved crosshatch is going to depend on if I can get the right curved ruler to work, which I've got an arc ruler I think will work, but that'll be something I'll have to play with. But there's the look that would give where these all kind of come together in one section. So that is a design that is geared around quilting each plate, each block individually. And yeah, I kind of like that. So I'm kind of leaning towards that right now, but I do have another design that I want to try out. So I'm going to play with that for a little bit, and then I'll get back with you and show you what that looks like. Okay, I decided I wanted to play around with that last design a little bit more and eliminate the curved cross hatching. So basically what I did was I brought this point down lower. It was normally up about here, so I brought it down about 1 inch on this curve, and just did a single curve, and instead of doubling that up, I just came in and did a little design like that, kind of a triangular diamond. I'm not sure what that is. Just something like that. So this would be open here, you know, this, and this would look more like the spine, and this would just be kind of where that spine comes together. So I kind of like that idea. So what I did was come down here towards the center of the block, and then follow that a little ways, and then I came down, well, a little bit further, and just kind of did a triangle like that, and then I just built my feathers on top of that. So it gave me a little bit more room for the feathers, and it eliminated the crosshatch, which would take a lot of time. So it just kind of simplified that design a little, and then bring that feather in like that. So that's how that design would look. So it's a looser design, it's not as dense. Hopefully it would go faster, and I don't have to worry about finding a ruler for my curved crosshatch. Now where these come together, this might be something I need to work on, is to figure out how to eliminate this space here. And I could also come in and do just kind of like a triangular design or something to kind of fill in that space, or just come in and kind of do a curl, and it could go either way. I could do one that kind of mimics over here and one that mimics over here, just kind of like ribbons or something at the end of a bow. So that I'll need to play with a little bit and figure that out. But I think it does need something. It may just need, you know, a little teardrop in there. And that's pretty big, so I might just do that. And that would fill in that space so it won't look like it's missed something. So that's another idea that I am leaning towards at this point. Okay, now something completely different from feathers. I decided to try some flowers. And I thought about doing this, just vining it everywhere, and I think that would be a little too hard to do. I'm leaning more and more towards treating each block separately instead of treating the whole background as one background. So anyway, what I'm doing is I'm just drawing a circle, and then I'm drawing some petals, and then just branching some leaves off of this. And then we'll go on this side. And I am not drawing well right now. I'm a little bit cold again. So I kind of like that look too. So this would go faster than the feather designs. It would fill in the space. It wouldn't be quite as heavy. And it's something different. I haven't done anything like this in a while. It's always been, when I've had a quilt like this, I've always leaned towards feathers, giving it a more formal look, and more vintage look. But I really do like those flowers, so I may lean towards that. And I think what I would do is, when I put this on the machine, was planning on stitching in the ditch around each one of these plates anyway, like here, which I think I would still go ahead and do, to kind of tack that down. I may go out by another 1/4 inch and kind of outline that. That always gives it a little bit more of a formal look anyway. So we'd have something like that. And then for the centers of these plates, I could do another floral design like that. And part of my problem is this marker. It's a little bit frayed on the end, and I could do something like that, or I could do a feather in there. I could cross hatch. I'm just going to go do a pretty big spin feather, so it'll look similar to the flowers, but it won't be exactly the same, and I kind of like that look. So I hope you can see that right here, and then with those flowers around it. And I really do like that idea. So right now I am leaning towards this design. By the time I get it on the machine and start working on it, I may change my mind altogether, but right now this is what I'm kind of leaning towards. So I'm going to take a picture of that, and then I can reference it later on. Now, some of these ideas, I want to show you where I got them. My mother-in-law gave me a set of hand quilting designs, and these are by Marge Murphy, and it says Marge Murphy's Heirloom Quilting Designs. These are borders and corners, and there's 3 big sheets of these designs in the package. And there's, like, we've got this feather, fan feather here. Here is the design for the feathers that are pointing out. Well, I was doing this and started drawing that. It's like, I know I've seen that before, and so I went and dug through my old patterns, and sure enough, that's where I had gotten that idea. It had stuck in my head from the last time I looked at these, which was probably 2 or 3 years ago. So, you know, anything we look at can be some ideas of things to do. And so, and then these flowers here that she has also kind of sparked the idea for these here. And this here, it's a border that she's drawn, but instead of doing a border, I decided, you know, a flower with some leaves coming off would be just a good corner design for something like this. So it's not exactly Marge Murphy's designs, but it was a good inspiration for me and gave me some new ideas of things that I can do in this quilt. So if you have some old patterns laying around that you haven't used in a while, pull those out and see if you can get some ideas from those, because I don't have any idea. This is from 1982, so these aren't brand new by any means, but and I'm not sure where she got them, but she did give them to me years and years ago. My mother-in-law did, and I had already been quilting by that time for quite a while, and yeah, those ideas just kind of stuck in my head. So you know, look through your old patterns and see if you can find something that you like. So anyway, those are the ideas I'm looking for the background. And for the blades and the plates, I haven't decided anything on that yet, but maybe that'll come up in another video. So anyway, those are my ideas, and I'm not sure what I'm going to wind up doing, but this quilt will go on the machine next, and I'll start quilting on that, and I will show you some of the video as I'm going through this quilt. And I have the borders to do. I haven't come up with any designs for those. Of course, those are going to be related to what I'm doing in the background, in the body of the quilt. That's just the way I do my quilts. I like things to be kind of cross-pollinated, if you know what that means. It's just like I want what's in the border to kind of reflect what's going on in the body of the quilt. So if I decide to do flowers in here, there'll be flowers in one of the borders. If I decide to do feathers, there will be feathers somewhere in the border. And you know, or maybe just leaves. I don't know. I've got 3 different borders to work on, so I've got lots of things to play with. If I do crosshatch, then I may do crosshatch, but I may not. I tend not to do crosshatch in the borders, but what I may decide to do would be like piano keys or something like that, something with straight lines in it. So I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do yet, but I will let you know and show you some video as I go along. So that's it for this video, and I hope you enjoyed it, and if so, I hope you will consider giving a like, and if you haven't subscribed yet, click that button and click the bell to remind you when the new videos come up. I'm doing my best to put out 2 videos a week now, and I've got over 100 videos in my files there, so on my channel. So you can look back through those and catch up with things that I've been doing over the last couple of years, and I hope to see you again in the next video. Thanks for watching. For more quilting ideas, click on the video links, and to keep up with my newest projects, click on the subscribe button. I hope to see you again soon.